One of my favorite things to throw during the fall when the fish are really keying in on bait fish is the Alabama rig. And today we're going to tell you for 3 things. 1, why you don't hear about it no more. 2, how to rig it. And 3, how to catch a fish on it. The Alabama rig is one of the most effective baits that's ever hit the bass market. And the reason you don't really hear about it anymore, or you don't see it in the top results, like looking at a tournament, like why was nobody throwing the Alabama rig? And the problem with that is it's been outlawed from a couple tournament trails where FLW, you can't really throw it anymore. B.A.S.S has outlawed it completely. So not a lot of the guys keep them in their boats. Like I typically don't carry them around with us because we're not allowed to. So you don't fish with it as much, but when you're just out having fun or fishing local stuff, the Alabama rig is still one of the most effective baits. And this is how we're actually gonna rig it today. What I do is I really match the swim baits to the forage on the lake. We're actually here on Lake Norman in North Carolina, so we're targeting a lot of spotted bass. Where say, if I was on my home lake, Santee Cooper, I'd be throwing a lot larger of a swim bait, possibly. A little bit bigger profile. It weighs the rig down a little more, but it's one of those things is you gotta match the hatch and fish the bait and the Alabama rig to the lake you're fishing. Where we're actually just gonna throw this little 3-inch swim bait here on Norman. And what I really like to do is I'll put 4 of the same size, color swim baits on the Alabama rig, but for the 5th one, I'll always change it. Whether I'm gonna throw a different color or say I'm gonna throw a little bit bigger one. Always have something different, you know. It's something they can really key on. They may not eat that one all the time, but it gets their attention. It's something that's just, it doesn't look as natural, and they key in on that a lot of times, and that's gonna usually be the bait that they're gonna key on. You know, when you're rigging the Alabama rig, it's always good to check your state laws and regulations to make sure what the combination of hooks you can throw. You know, here in the South, we don't really have any laws or any restrictions on how many hooks you can throw on one rig, but always be sure to double check, because there's a lot of times where you can say throw 3 hooks or 1 hook, so always be safe to check it before you go out there and have a good time with it. When you're throwing the Alabama rig, this thing's basically like a 4-wheel drive truck. You're throwing it everywhere, anywhere, and it's actually a heavy bait. So what I do is I throw it on a beefier rod and reel and line setup. I'm actually throwing this on Suffolk's Advanced 25-pound fluorocarbon right now, and it's actually on a Daiwa 7.9 heavy Kage rod. It's actually an A-rig rod, and it's on the Tatula 200. I like a bigger reel, a bigger spool, because you know throwing that rig a lot all day, it takes a lot of stress. It's pretty strenuous, so you actually want a rod and reel that can handle the weight of that rig and throwing it all day, and so it doesn't wear you out. You don't feel like you've been bowling all day. You're able to cast the bait effectively and fish it and land those fish a lot more. Look at there. That's what we're talking about, changing your baits. The one oddball, just something a little bit different sometimes, is the difference maker, catching 1 or 2. I like to power fish it shallow, just like I would a spinnerbait. To me, I fish this the same way I would a spinnerbait. It's power fishing it, and it's got 5 hooks. So it really gives them a different look, where a spinnerbait is just a 1 bait profile. Where when you're throwing an Alabama rig, it's something they can't really resist, because it's just a little school of bait fish coming through there, and you catch a lot of fish on it. But power fishing it up shallow, that's one of my favorite ways to fish the rig. The A-rig is one of those baits that it's lost a lot of its mojo. People don't talk about it as much, and you don't hear about it since it's kind of been outlawed from a lot of the tournament trails, but it's one of those things I still love to throw. It's a very enjoyable bait, and you catch a lot of fish. I don't ever tournament fish with it much, and I don't keep them in the boat, but those times you do have it rigged and you get to play with it, it's always a good day.